Hi, everyone. Welcome to California Psychics Live Reading. I'm Carly, and I'll be your moderator for the next hour. We have a very special one here for you today. I'm here with Psychic Marin, and we have a special guest, Vanessa Gordon from East End Taste. How are you both doing today?
Very well. How are you?
Fantastic.
Great, great. Well, for those of you that have not been here to one of these before, we are going to get a sneak peek into what it's like to get a psychic reading. Vanessa is going to get a reading live in front of everyone. But before we do that, I wanted to take a few questions from the audience. And reminder for everyone that hasn't had one of these before, we will not be taking any medical questions, legal questions. But anything about love and relationships or your career or a deceased loved one, those are all up for grabs. And we have a few questions coming in. Well, we have people saying, yay, excited to be here, and good evening. We haven't gotten our first question yet, so let me hit refresh here. Okay. So we're going to answer our first question, and this is from Mauricio on Facebook. He says, will Oasis ever get back together? Will him and Oasis ever get back together?
Thank you, Mauricio. So timeline wise, I get 3 months out for the very early introductions and initial phase. It looks like this is going to be months of a reconciliation, but I don't see much of that starting for about 3 months out. So it's a slow but steady situation. I feel like it's positive, but you're looking at months before you feel really reconciled.
It's good to have that positive feeling, though. You feel like you're working towards something.
Yes. A lot of people ask me that. Is it worth it? In this case, I'd say it's worth it if you've got patience.
That is good. Haley says, how does Justin feel towards me?
Okay, so open-ended questions for everybody else watching. I can do this quicker if I get specific questions. So what I'm getting in response, it's a little bit more strange. Like I'm feeling like it's not somebody that is constantly thinking. I feel like this is not a real relationship at this early stage. There's an attraction. I think that there's a lot of this flirtatiousness going back and forth, but you're a few months away from this starting to transition into something more. The attraction's there, the interest is there. I feel like you're just going to start amping it up with a little bit more signs, a little bit more flirtatiousness, but there is a connection, there is an attraction. And when in the future with this hour together, we're going to be doing more questions like this. So if you guys have real specific questions, it's helpful for me. Then I can go through them a lot faster than trying to pull and see what information she's looking for specifically. But towards this particular situation, I think that there's a definite potential.
Okay, we'll answer one more before we get into the live reading. And the lucky winner is, let's see, energy balance. Am I moving soon?
Not as soon as you would like. Very end of April. So I feel like the move is actually starting in May, but towards the middle to end of April is when you're aware that you are moving. You're just not finding the right spot. So my advice would be waiting until that late April transitionary period. You're just not going to find something that's going to feel like a compromise, and you'd end up having to relocate again later.
Yeah. Well, we are going to get back to these audience questions in a little bit, but we want to get to the live reading where we have Vanessa Gordon from East End Taste. And Vanessa, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and if you've ever gotten a psychic reading before?
Sure. Hi, everyone. So my name is Vanessa Gordon. I'm a publisher of East End Taste magazine. We're a digital publication and social media platform. We're based in the Hamptons. You probably have heard of it from all of those television shows, like those Bravo networks. But anyway, I've been out here my whole life. I'm actually from Sag Harbor, which is a little seaside town here, and I have two young children. I have my daughter who is almost 7 and my son who is 3, and they are just the joys of my life. And I'm also a freelance writer, and I actually just started an e-commerce business, which is, oh my goodness, quite an undertaking, but it's all been good fun.
Very busy.
Yeah.
And have you ever gotten a psychic reading before?
Yes, I have. It's actually been, oh my goodness, I want to say at least 10 to 15 years. I was still in high school actually at the time. So it's a lot has happened since then.
Wow, so fun.
Do you want to start off with your first question for Psychic Marin?
Sure, yeah. So I'd love to, I mean, my career path has been quite busy, and I feel like every time I try to set time for myself, it just reverts back to me getting busier and busier with my career. And I'm wondering if there might be a little bit of I won't say a light at the end of the tunnel, but, where I could, kind of draw back and focus on my children and kind of let my business, ride on its own. Because I feel like I'm just constantly hands-on. So I'd love to hear your insight into that.
Sure, Vanessa. And thank you for trusting me to do this live. I think this is going to be fun. But to start off with answering this question, I don't see a slow. I don't see a slow. In fact, I think that you already mentioned that you're doing a few. Oh, hi, little one.
This is my one of my children.
You're fine. You're fine if you need to cuddle. I don't get distracted. So a lot of people will call me when they're driving on their way home in the car.
Oh, nice.
Or when they've got kids running around in the background, but that doesn't distract me.
My daughter just brought one of our cats. Here's my daughter.
Oh,
Hi.
Hi there. So I don't see things slowing down anytime soon. In fact, I think that you're just on this high. And in the last, since 2018. So
yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Everything that you're doing, you're getting so much visibility and so much recognition. I'm just going to keep talking. And
go downstairs.
No, I don't want to go downstairs.
Sit and be quiet then.
One of the things about this live video is I know it will be archived and on Facebook. So if there's any points that you miss, I may just keep talking and you might have to listen and re-listen and pick up any details if we get distracted. So if I'm looking at your life on a timeline, I go back about 3 years to 2018, and that's when I feel like everything's exploded. And I know that there was a lot that really exploded digitally with all these new apps. But for you, what I'm seeing is this notoriety with you hosting events and bringing people together and this kind of collaborative networking that you're doing. And that's just starting. There's something that I get images of, like there's a lot of social gatherings when I see you. I mean, your life is just bringing people together and these social gatherings, right. But it looks like there's something that's more annual or every spring or summer that requires a lot of attention that you're doing that they're saying you're going to keep doing. Don't let that go. I feel like that might be something that you are considering. Do I let that go? But it's an annual thing and you've brought lots of people together to show their stuff and network. The other thing that they're saying that you didn't mention, you said you're a writer for like a blog, but what they're also telling me is they said specifically, hold on one second. It's an older gentleman, and I think that this is your grandfather. And they specifically, there's two people that I'm talking to right now. One is the grandfather and another is a middle-aged woman. The information that I'm getting about books, they keep saying you have two books. You have two books, and so they keep emphasizing writing and that you have two books. So, did you used to want to be? Were you a writer or in a?
I'm actually a published author under a pseudonym.
Oh, is that okay?
I wrote my first novel, when I was 13, and I don't tell a lot of people this. A lot of people don't even know.
I'm like, is it something that we should share publicly? You don't have to share the name.
Sure,
but
it's so funny.
There's two books.
Yes, there's one that's published, and then one that I keep saying, like every time I see my old friends from high school or my family, they're like, "Did you ever publish that other book you were working on?" I'm like, "No." Because I've been really just so busy, and I even could get into it. But yeah, no. But yes, no, I am published under a pseudonym that, my goodness, I don't like to tell people about it just because I feel like the writing style is nowhere on par with where I am today. It's just so childish because it's literally a 13-year-old. Like, it's like, oh goodness gracious, I can't cringe when I read it.
we don't have to talk about that.
Yeah.
But the reason why I'm bringing that up and why that's important is that I feel like your life right now and the life that's involving blogging and writing and travel and I'm sorry, I forgot the name of what your blog is. There was an introduction about food or something about food.
Yeah, it's East End Taste.
East End Taste. Okay.
Right.
So I'm assuming you're writing a lot about food, and right now, this is the balance in your life that gives you time away from being a busy mom. And you commented that they kind of go with you and you take them places, but having the ability to travel and blog and what you're doing also gives you that independent me time,
right?
Which I think is also the blessing in disguise in you really being so busy and working. Is you've got that balance.
Absolutely, yeah.
I see probably about right around 5 years. That's the real peak where I see you just feeling like I'm exhausted, and that writing is going to really be important at that time. So you're about 5 more years of blogging and travel and this very go life. Yeah. And then it's more into the hermit. I'm going to write and I'm going to pull back on all of the socializing and events and planning and having this very broad social presence, to where then I see you just really isolated, like old school writing, like typing, old school book, novel, not everything being digital. Oh, hold on. Something else was you went from something digital to print, and that was like a big, not the book, something different, some other publication that was smaller. And so your guides are trying to continue putting you into more of a printed medium and not letting that go, because that's where you're going to be in about 5 years, is more book writing, less blog, less interviews, less travel. Mm-hmm. That's going to give you a lot of that balance. I'll pause for just a second. Did you have questions or anything that you wanted me to elaborate on about that?
Yeah, I'd love to hear more about traveling, because I will say, it's quite a divide. The response I get from traveling. Some people are like, "Oh my goodness, go, go, go." They're kind of like my cheer squad, if you will. But then, there's a few people out there, if you will, that are like, "No, you should be home with your family more. What do you, don't sacrifice that." I don't know. It's quite interesting, and people have those people have it all wrong. The latter have it all totally wrong. But I'd love to know more about the travel component.
So I start to look at a map in my mind's eye, and I look at where's she going, and I almost wanted to answer instead, where hasn't she gone? Because it almost looks like, and there's a strong, oh gosh, I'm not going to get this right. I know there's a strong connection with Italy, but it's a smaller, there's even a smaller country. My geography's poor, but I'm getting a lot more of that very refined. Well, that makes sense, because you're writing, you're in the Hamptons. That is your lifestyle, your audience. Like, it's very luxury, very, very specialized, very unique, and also very beautiful. And so what they're showing me is a lot of European travel, but I almost feel like you've already, in Africa, there's some that's unique. There's some very unique places, but when I see you, I think that from my point of view, I think that there's a lot of places that you will still continue. And the comment you made earlier about, okay, so what I'm getting information about is your responsibilities at home, and you having a husband or partner. I'm assuming you're married, but I see you with a male, and he has a very demanding career as well. That's putting him, he does something in search something in a medical field, and I think that lifestyle allows for a lot of just hectic. You've got the kids, he's got to go, and so a lot of that kid rearing falls on your shoulders and your responsibility. So now, if you're going to be headed off to Italy, I could see why you're getting the criticism, or why you're getting that advice that you should be home with the kids, because your husband has the more sporadic job where you two both are very extended in your careers outside of the family.
Right. Right. Yes. So you did get it correct. My husband is a physician, so he's been working very heavily. Actually, with the pandemic, he was 7 days on, 7 days off at one of the Mid-Island hospitals here. I mean, his hours are insane. He sees like 25 patients a day. He works, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then, honestly, he conked out. He was sleeping all day yesterday. So exhausted. And it's, I praise him, but there is a part of me that's, I'm tired too, and it's so hard to explain that to people because I feel selfish in a way by voicing that. So I try to keep mom as much as I can.
Yeah. You don't want to lose your identity in the process of responsibilities at home and your family at home. And I can look at life paths and ask questions from the perspective of, what if she did this, or what if she did this, or what would outcomes likely be? And I feel like even if you burnt the candle at both ends and went 100 miles an hour into blogging and traveling and doing this, or even if you didn't and you were choosing a more domestic lifestyle, the same timeline is 5 years where now you're starting to become more introverted and become more of the writer. So I don't see that changing on your life path, whether you want to go now and pull back in 5 years, or if you're indoors now and more of that domestic person. I still see that same timeline, about 4 or 5 years, and you becoming primarily focused in writing. And then there's something else. Hold on. Boy, we won't ask your age, but you've worn many hats for this point in your life. Were you also an educator? Were you a teacher?
You've got it.
What did you teach?
English is a second language, and I was also a fitness trainer for 6 years.
Okay. Is there any desire to go back into teaching, like in a private school setting, or no? You think you're done with that?
I don't.
No.
I would teach at a university. I would teach at a university, or as far as fitness training, people have been really pushing me to go back into it. Certainly, I would teach a few classes here and there, but it's a lot of the behind the scenes work that really gets wrapped up in time, because you're prepping, you're memorizing choreography material, you're, practicing with, working on alignment and posture and, corrective movements for, each individual, depending upon their fitness level. So there's a lot involved.
Mm-hmm. And the reason why people tell you that, or that information that they're sharing of, maybe you want to consider that, is because you really have that high, you're a motivator. Just simply put, some people just, they know how to manifest. They know how to create their reality. And some people don't. I mean, it's just, it's the simple fact where some people would say, why is everything so easy for them? And it's the way that you think. It's the way that I can see that your brain works. That, well, first of all, there's nothing that is a no. There's nothing that is unattainable. Like, your mind is problem solution. This is what I want to do. How do I go about it? And so that motivation carries through in everything you do. And if you've got a young child and now you've got to work off pregnancy weight, like, you're going to be highly motivated and you are going to just do it. And all your friends are watching you going, how does she just do this? Because what they're admiring is your motivation and your ability to attain what goals you set. So that's what people admire in you. And this whole time I've been talking to you, there is this older gentleman, and I'm assuming, he didn't say grandfather, but I'm assuming by age that's your grandfather. And I don't know if he helped raise you or if there was a stronger presence of him in your life, but he's got that same go, 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 go mindset. And he watches over you. He's very predominant, very consistent. So he's not one of those guides that kind of comes and goes and comes and goes. He's here. That is the strongest energy that I pick up around you. And then I mentioned before that there's that faint middle-aged woman that I'm also seeing. Oh,
This is my son.
hi there.
Seriously, a good boy.
Okay, so do you have questions? Maybe I should allow you to.
You know, I've had quite, lucky that people in my life that were very close to me did not pass on until, I want to say fairly recently, within the last 5 to 6 years or so. I would love to, connect really with any of them. I could tell you specifically who if you'd like, but, you did mention my grandfather. I couldn't think of anyone closer to me as far as any of my relatives go. My grandmother, of course, but there was something very special about my grandfather, and I miss him beyond words. And all I do every day is pretty much just pray he's still out there. And look at my son. He would be so proud of my son who he's never met. And, I don't know. There's a few other people that have passed away, and, I miss them terribly, of course.
I think that I think he is very proud of you, but sometimes when I read people, you'll have certain guides that that hog the show, if you will, and he's the predominant guide, and then there's the middle-aged woman, and I'll get to her in just a second. But with the grandfather, this sounds really cheesy. And sometimes just the way that they communicate in images, it's like I'm looking at these green rolling hills, almost like the Sound of Music, where it's like you're outdoors and everything is just these green rolling hills outside. And I don't know what significance that means. Sometimes that means something to you. I don't think he was a Sound of Music fan, but it's more of like, I just keep getting you outside with him, and it's perfectly green rolling hills of lawn. But I'm curious what that means. Does that mean anything to you? Because that's the image that they keep showing me. Oh, that's okay. I'll explain that in a second. Does that mean anything to you?
We spent a lot. He's taught me so much. My goodness, I don't want to say he was a singer per se, but he would sing often. He spoke Italian fluently, so he would Italian almost every time I could remember. But the Sound of Music, yeah. We loved that film. We watched that film all the time. And I was just on my bike earlier, listening to it was one of the tracks they were using, and I thought of him right away.
On the Sound of Music, okay. Sometimes it's hard in telling, if that's why it's helpful to get just a little clarification, because I think you're close, but the fact that they're still showing me this image and it hasn't completely gone away yet, I think there's something more that I'm getting about you being outdoors with the green lawn, and what I want to explain really quickly, and I'm not sure how much time we have left, maybe 5-10 minutes. Okay. So I'm going to explain something really quickly, because you've got this guide that is here all the time. This is somebody that's really easy to connect to. And I like being able to help people connect with their loved ones. And so he showed golf. Is he a golfer? He's a golfer, isn't he?
Avid golfer. In fact, I just took up playing golf this past summer, and
I just
I
got
love
chills.
it.
Okay. That's what the that's what the green hills.
That makes sense.
What'd you say?
I said
that's what the green hills are. So I'm looking at, it was too perfectly manicured, like there was something about the green. But when he's showing me these images, what they're showing me is this is how you can connect with him. So if you go into a meditative space and you are thinking about him and you can relive a memory with him, or relive like him being out on the green and him being able to golf and you being right there with him, if you can have that focal point of this is where I'm going to meditate and go in my mind's eye. So I'm going to pick a golf course. I'm going to imagine him there and I'm going to be with him. And then I'm going to look over and start talking to him. I'm going to look over and have a conversation with him. And I'm going to ask him how he's doing or talk to him. And at first it may feel I'm giving you like a super crash course version, just because when I see somebody that's got a spirit right there, he's just so easy to communicate to. And those are ones that I like to be able to help people connect. If you can just relive that event or relive a special event and memory, I'm getting the golf course. And so that's why I keep seeing it. I think he'll be with you when you're golfing. I think that that's the pieces that I can put together and seeing him and him talking about being outdoors in the green and golfing. And here you are, you said you took up golfing. He's going to be with you. But if you're at home wanting to meditate, wanting to connect with him, that's the place where you go to in your mind's eye to connect with him, to meet him. And he is just, everything about him is just like perseverance and not giving up. And I don't know if he was like a man of these little wise words or little tidbits of information, but that's what he's like. He's just proud. He's proud, and everything is more of a, you keep going, keep going, keep going. So it's, it feels like a mother, like a father-daughter relationship, but based on the age, it's your grandfather. There's that other woman, and that is somebody that is not biologically related. It's somebody that's a little bit more distant. And she keeps talking about how you, oh, this is tough. Okay, so I'm gonna filter this just to not have it sound so harsh, but it's more of like you've had to learn how to not care what other people think. And not caring about what other people think has allowed you to become more successful. And a lot of messages about like the past is in the past and you can change the future. Like don't worry about the past. You can change the future and focus on the future and worry about the future. So I'm getting this like life themed message, which is like this ongoing theme of your life. This is not a relative. This is a guide that is saying, just almost like, don't worry about what's in the past. You can still change the future. And that is your motto. That's kind of your life's message.
Wow.
We only
That's
We only
amazing.
have about 2 minutes left with Vanessa. Are there any closing words? Vanessa, any clarification that you need? Any last minute questions?
I'm just trying to figure out who that woman may be. Maybe that other one I know that passed away in my life.
I don't think you'll know her. So when people come forward, it's easier for me to tell somebody that is a relative, somebody that comes in their physical form versus something that almost looks like wispy, like almost more like an apparition where it's more divine, or some people may call it an angel. Like there's a lot of different words, or spirit guides or angel. It's an energy and it's female and it doesn't have like a face is the best way I can describe it. And they're telling me, you've been told this before. You've been told this before that's going to resonate with you about, 15 years, approximately 15 years. This was like your life's motto that's changed the course that you're on. And I don't know what that means, but this is what's tough. And a lot of people, I will tell them this message and it doesn't really resonate. You can write it down. This is going to be archived. And then a week later, you're going to go, oh my gosh, this light bulb moment, and then call back and it's going to make sense. But they're telling me specifically this verbatim message about the past is in the past. It's something about power. You don't have power with the past. You don't have power with the past, but you can change the future.
What's so fascinating, actually, one of my mottos that I live by is the past has no power and the future is changeable.
Yes, that, okay, say that again.
One of my main mottos is the past has no power and
Yes.
the future is changeable.
Yes, and you need to pay attention to that, because that is the foundation for, you said you've published one book, but you haven't published the second book. It's just written.
Right.
So the third book, there's something about this. There's something more about this saying and what this means and how it becomes like a short story, it becomes a book, becomes something that's more the foundation of inspiration. It's your life accumulation of that manifestor, motivated mindset with, I mean, I don't want to throw the entire past away because there's value in the past, but for the purpose of this conversation and your future and book and what you are going to be doing, whatever that slogan is it's like that is the foundation of your book that will be published. And it's like how you it's how you manifest, how you motivate, how you manifest, and here's the formula.
That is awesome. And thank you so much, Marin and Vanessa. I hope this helped you. I know that was really, really awesome how she was, spot on about your husband's job and your book and your publishing and wanting to, I can't wait to hear more about what's to come. Oh, Marin, you have something else?
No, boy, we could talk for a while, and I know we've got to wrap it up. But I need to stop. And you're somebody that I could talk to for an hour, just because I start seeing the kids and start seeing their lives ahead. But I know we're short on time. Your grandfather is still there, and I can already tell that's going to just be an energy that's with you all the time. So that may be a relationship that you want to work on building, which is going to be hard, and it's going to really take time and thought. And a lot of people that have the lives like you do that are just so busy and active, and you've got kids, and by the time your head hits the pillow at night, you don't have time to do spirit communication because you're going to fall asleep as soon as you get a free moment. But that relationship's there, and it will be there, and it wouldn't surprise me to hear that you aren't even aware that he's there, because when people have such busy lives, sometimes that's that ability to just slow down, to really feel those fine details and feel those energies. It takes silencing all the other crazy lives in order to get that energy, to get that sixth sense that so many of us miss. And that's why I think a lot of people feel that they can connect and feel that they have psychic abilities, versus a lot of people that feel like, oh, I've never had anything like that happen. Well, sometimes it's just slowing down enough, or even setting aside a half an hour a day where you can slow down enough to be able to bring that connection forward, to have that relationship continue beyond somebody's passing. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vanessa, for joining us. And everyone that's watching, use Vanessa's promo code EastEnd5 and you'll get $5 added to your account when you're a new customer. Again, thank you so much, Vanessa. It was great having you on with us today.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate this very much. I had such a wonderful time. Thank you. Thank you, Psychic Marin, very much.
Bye.
Thank you.
And then we are going to get back to our regularly scheduled Facebook Live where we take audience questions. And we've had a ton coming in. Everyone is really excited to have you, Marin. And we'll jump into things. Oh, actually, before we do, I want to remind everyone we won't be taking any medical questions or legal questions. And if you have a question about a relationship, make sure you use the person's name so Marin can connect with you faster, and ask very specific questions. We're going to take regular questions for the first 15 minutes and then jump into rapid fire card pools at the end.
Okay.
So let's see. Oh man, they're coming to me even faster now that everyone knows we're getting started. Emily says, my best friend passed away. Her name was Carrie. Do you have any messages coming through from her?
Carrie. Hold on one second. Emily Carrie. Hold on, she's distant. Okay. This is a soul that has ascended very nicely. This is a soul that's at a distant, very peaceful. I'm trying to pull her forward, but it's taking just a little bit longer. I keep getting a lot of animals, and I keep getting a connection with animals or rescuing animals and trying to take care of animals. And so I don't know if you had a pet that you just recently lost or what that is, but I feel like there's something about an animal that's going to be passing or that just passed, and that she's trying to take care of an animal. There's just that connection with the two of you. So it may be more than that. It may be deeper. You did something with animal work together, but they're showing something about this animal that she's going to be rescuing or that's with her. That was a little bit tricky. Sorry, it took me a minute, but she's farther away. And sometimes I like to leave souls out there because they're in a good place.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. Samantha says, is my brother Matt coming through? Is he okay? We lost him unexpectedly. Thank you.
Yes, that he struggles. This is a soul that's a little more stuck. This is a soul that's struggling. It's a soul that you will not be able to as easily connect with in about 4 more months. You're somebody that, if you're interested in calling, we could talk for 15 minutes and I would be able to give you a lot of information that would help you in connecting with him. But they're showing me that it is more of this panicked energy. It's more of a unfamiliar or kind of more of that stuck soul energy. So I don't feel that it's as pleasant, but it's about 4 more months until that soul is ascended to where the resting place will be more comfortable. So right now it's going to be a harder holiday. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Over on YouTube, Mary Ann says, hi, Marin, hoping for a change in my financial situation. What insight can you offer, please?
Oh, this is my regular Mary Ann. Oh, I love you, Mary Ann. Thank you for coming in today. And she's gonna be so glad that you read her question, because she's very loyal and she always likes to see if she'll be chosen. Okay, finances. February, Mary Ann. So early February is hold on to that money right now. Early February is when you can do some fun play with that money, but you need to hang on to things right now, especially with overspending with the holidays, but early February.
I think everyone could use that advice around the holidays sometimes. Dawn says, will my relationship with my mother, Diana, ever get better?
No. And that's unfortunate. But I can say that you've tried and tried and tried and tried. And so unlike some people that haven't even tried and really regret it later or after that person has passed on, I just feel like you've tried and tried and tried. And sometimes you have to accept the strained relationship. And I feel like it's a power dynamic. And unless you are going to completely be a different person in that relationship, it's just not going to work. You've tried and you will always have to tiptoe and bite your tongue. It's going to unfortunately feel like that type of relationship in order to be cordial with one another.
Before we go on to the next question, I just want to remind everyone that you can use the promo code EastEnd5 to get $5 added on to new package promos, or new customer packages. Ooh, sorry. And a few other upcoming announcements. Next week, we have a tarot live. So instead of being on video, Psychic Reagan will be taking over all of our social media channels. She will be doing one card pools for people that type in their questions in the comments. On December 28th, our last live of the year, we will have Psychic Tegan, who will be answering questions for the Facebook Live and YouTube Live. And then our first live of the new year is on January 4th with Psychic Kerrigan. So we have our lineup all scheduled, and we still have, we have 20 minutes left in today's live, and we are going to be answering questions and then getting into rapid fire tarot pools at the end. So if you haven't had your question answered, keep typing it in. I will get to as many as possible. And go ahead and comment with one of your friends' name. Tag them in the comments and tell them that they should be getting a reading as well. This is a great way, especially for new people that aren't quite used to calling in to get a phone reading, to kind of get your feet wet, get a little chat reading. We also have a chat feature on our website and app where you can get a chat reading all through text, and it's a great tool to try out.
Yeah, especially when you're at work or you need to be private or quiet, that chat feature is helpful.
Yeah, I love the chat feature personally because I can get a transcript of the entire thing afterward and go back and read it. And as you were saying, sometimes something doesn't really make sense in the moment, but a week or two later, you're like, oh, what was that? I can go back and look at it then. So it's great.
Yeah.
The next question we're going to get to is from Veronica. She says, hello, I'm a Taurus dating a Taurus, Walter. I want to see if we have a future together. So does Veronica and Walter have a future together?
Yes, you do have a future together, despite, I have a son who is a Taurus, and they have that very stubborn, bull-headed personality, but there's obviously a lot more that we take into consideration in astrology and matches and other aspects of your astrological makeup. The two of you, I actually see that he is a little bit more docile, despite that stereotype of the Taurus personality. September, you've got a long ways to go, and that's just more of fear of commitment, struggles with past relationships with him. So it's slow and steady, but then by September, that point I can say that it's really, it's a label, it's exclusive. You're talking about merging lives, but you guys have a longer road. I'm seeing, guys, that's kind of a pattern today that we're seeing, is a little slow and steady. And I do see the two of you together by September of 2021.
Francesca, Francesca. Please, Marin, will my husband Brian ask to come back and restore our marriage? If so, when?
Yes, but that's not the end. So timeline wise, I see him coming back in February, and early February is when, well, he's coming back in January. By early February, you are negotiating and really talking, and you believe at that point that you guys are going to be back on track. I just feel like there's going to be another breakup beyond that point. And I think that the way that the two of you reconcile could be modified to where this relationship could be more sustained. It's just the need for that security too much too soon. You've got to allow him to reconcile at his pace, if you can. I'm saying in a ideal situation, if you want this relationship, you're gonna have to pull back and allow him to establish a lot of the rules and the pace, which leaves you feeling kind of helpless and vulnerable. But that's the very narrow path I see to how you could create a long-term sustainable relationship, versus what I'm seeing right now looks like you're back together early February and then you crash again in April because it's just too much too soon.
Kim Stewart says, hi, will Jonathan finally commit to me?
March. Yes, in March. And it's just by a hair. I mean, you're so done. You're done. Even by January and New Year's, you're done. But you're still in this relationship. And it's not until March when I see him committing.
And then Amber Stone says, Corey broke my heart. Was I right to leave?
You were right to leave, although they're saying it's going to be almost 6 more months before you are able to really get over that connection. And I don't see it's because you've met someone else. I feel like you will have met other people, but I just see this continuing for about 6 months. And then you're finally feeling like you're not thinking of this relationship all the time. And it's interesting to see at that point now is when you're really free or your heart's open to resume dating. Anything prior to that, I just feel like it's a little bit soon, and you'll have some relationship opportunities there to help you get excited, help you see that there's life and potential and energy around meeting somebody new. But it's going to be a lot longer than you realize before your heart's healed.
We have about 15 minutes left if you want to switch over to do rapid fire cards.
Yeah.
And reminder to everyone, you can ask a detailed question or you can just ask for a card. So this part of it, you don't even have to say what your question is as long as you're thinking it. And again, make sure you tag your friends. You have 15 minutes to get your questions in and we'll get started. Nisa over on YouTube says, everything seems out of place. Will things begin to fall back in place soon?
Oh gosh, I'm laughing just because I've come to learn by the end of this year that if things weren't out of place, then you weren't doing something right, because 2020 is about your life being out of place. So in 2021, you can put everything back into a tidier place. So I think that information applies to everybody in the energy around us. For you, you're putting things back into place is not going to feel solid till the summer, till August. And there's a move that you're not even asking about changes with location, but there is going to be something about relocation and move for you as well. Either that just happened or it's going to happen in the coming months, because that's contributing to everything being out of place.
Thanks. Over on YouTube again, Luana says, hi, Marin. I landed my dream job this year. I'm very happy, but I do question whether Tim and Heather are happy with selecting me. I doubt myself here because I don't have as much responsibility.
Yes. Okay. So no, don't. This is something that I would say Stop the analysis, stop the worry, because you're your worst enemy right now. They are very happy with the decision. You're up leveling. I mean, that's a fancy term, but really as you're climbing up the top, things are getting a little bit easier, because what's really happening is you understand what you're doing. You have a greater sense of comfort in your foundation of what you're doing. And what they show me is there isn't as much validation and hand holding and praise and thank yous and good jobs. So you're left feeling like you're kind of just fed to the wolves, and you've got to figure out on your own whether or not you're doing a good job or not. And that is just going to be how this job is. There's going to be less feedback, but if you weren't doing something right, you would hear about it. So no news is kind of good news in this relationship, but it's because you know your stuff. So you've got this, and no more voices in the back doubting that, because that's not coming from them. That's coming from you.
Before we get to the next one, just a little quick message from Amber. Thank you so much. I needed that. So that was great.
Yeah. Happy holidays, Amber. Thank you.
And then Kimberly says, a card on marriage.
Okay, we will switch to card pulls. Let me just shuffle my deck. I'm reading with my beautiful deck today. So let me get that. Oh, this is a tricky one. In an upright position, we've got the Nine of Swords. In an upright position, you would be bound and you can't break free. There's a little house up here on the hills, and you can only run as far as this, and then you're stuck. You can't break free. This card is showing that you are breaking free. Unfortunately, what that means is I don't feel like the marriage is as successful. This is a difficult card to begin with. And I feel like what's happening for you this year ahead is that you're going to be able to break out of this marriage, break free from this marriage. I don't think that it's healthiest for you.
Ashley says, I love you, Marin. What is
Thank
ahead?
you.
What is ahead for my person of interest and I? His name is Tommy.
Okay. Let me go back to Tony. Really nice holiday. Like this is, yes, there's going to be a little bit more gift giving. Like there's a lot of focus on him right now and what he's buying and getting. And there is that materialistic element of it. But I just get beyond that, like a really nice holiday time, even after, more specifically, after the 25th to New Year's. Like that's a lot of warm, fuzzy time. So I feel like you guys are definitely getting a lot closer right before New Year's. So that's positive.
Carrie Ann says, a card on finances, please.
Okay. Oh, moon. So this is a moon. It's one of the major arcana cards, and the moon is here to guide you to listen to your intuition, pay attention to the dreams, pay attention to what messages you're getting in your dreams, what messages you're getting that feel like they're guides or little whispers, that like that devil and angel on your shoulder talking to you. It's time to pay attention to help improve finances. Often to this little card down, the little crawdad down below is like a message from the depth. So pay attention to little opportunities or something that kind of comes up out of nowhere that may surprise you with a financial lead or financial opportunity. But as a whole, that would not be something that I would interpret as like a negative with finances. It would be more of dig deeper and look for those hidden opportunities. Thanks.
Angelica says, a love card, please.
Sure. You've got the 9 of Cups, and the Cups, it's very the suit of emotions and water, and very content and very proud. Like, look at my array of everything that I have, and I'm so abundant. It's abundance and love. Like, it's also a card that would represent a little bit more of a time to just kind of pause in that status that you're in right now and just soak it all in and appreciate before just changing and criticizing or growing, evolving. Just take a moment to enjoy and appreciate. Thanks.
Angela says, card, please. General card.
And this is a Queen of Cups. So Queen of Cups, we've got another card that's in the suit of Cups, which is emotion and love. But in this Queen position, she's seated on her throne, and she's very balanced and very grounded in her emotion. I mean, this is just a woman that also can be highly intuitive and quite connected with her empathic emotional ability. So this is just a very grounded, strong card.
Nice. Yeah. Karen says, a card on friendships. I'm changing and my friends are dropping off. They're telling me to stop being so enthusiastic.
Oh, shoot, Karen. Well, you know that saying, make new friends, but keep the old ones silver and the others gold. Well, I get a thumbs down. And this card is the Ace of Swords. And the Ace of Swords in its upright position is kind of like a thumbs up, like go, 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 go. It's a very intellectual card. You must be using your mind to do a lot, being, like you said, you're enthusiastic. But in this position, it's saying thumbs down. So I would slow it down just a little bit. I think that these friendships, you know, you might have the general advice of, well, if they're dropping off, they're not good friends, and it's time for you to move on. I'm being told that this is more of the type of friendship that may drop off a little, but not something you want to completely cut out of your life entirely. Your interests in your hobbies and activities are the new shiny object, and these friends are still worthy friends, but they're just not as excited with all your new adventures. So yeah, they're going to get annoyed, but they'll be needed and valued at a later time. So don't let go of those friendships.
And Anna says, love card, please.
You've got the Queen of Pentacles reversed, so you are not so grounded in love right now. You're the suit of Pentacles is associated with earth and groundedness and being solid, and this is saying that you're not so solid when it comes to love right now. You're not as grounded in your love or relationship.
Jamie wants a card on career, please.
Okay. You got the Chariot reversed, which makes me question, are you still working? Are you laid off right now? Are things at a standstill? And if not, I'd be careful in looking at, are things headed towards a standstill? Or if you've been given the message that you could be laid off, or you're questioning whether or not that could happen, this is not an active go, 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 like the horse is on, the man is driving the chariot. It's in a reverse position saying everything's at a standstill. So career situation's really stuck right now.
Doreen, a card on love with Eric.
Okay. You got the 8 of Wands. Whoa, whoopsie daisy. 8 of Wands reversed. So reversal means it's slow. This card would be a fast. What it's saying is, with Eric, you got to slow it down. Slow it down just a little bit, because we don't want to lose Eric or scare Eric away, especially during holiday time, because he's a little more vulnerable or out of his comfort zone with the intensity. So you really want to just slow it down, which means maybe not calling or texting all the time, or maybe cut that in half for just a couple more weeks.
And then Karen says, a card please for love.
Okay. 8 of Pentacles. You've got the 8 of Pentacles, which is working hard. You're working really hard on a relationship to hold it intact. You've got a really stubborn partnership, and so they're showing me perseverance. This is one of those cards that's like, here the carpenter is making the same thing over and over and over and over again, to where it's almost boring with what he's creating. But the message in this card is that tedious perseverance is how you win, how you're successful. So you're going to need a lot of patience and perseverance for this relationship to sustain, but it's worth it.
And then Ashley says, can I have a reading for me and KB? So he wants me to be his woman, but we've been talking, where is this going to go for us?
So you received the Temperance card. This is the healing angel card, but it's also about tempering, which is balancing. And she's got 1 foot on water, 1 foot on land, and there's this balancing back and forth. And so this is going to be a relationship. Yes, he does want this relationship, but all these fancy terms and what I just described, if I'm looking at the pattern and I'm looking at him, what he's wanting is to sometimes take advantage of you, or wants you to be his helper, wants you to be there and support him. And that temperance, or that balance, then turns into, oh, he's wanting you to be so flexible. He's wanting you to bend over backwards for him or support him. So what my concern would be in this relationship is, what is in this for you? What feels fair? What feels balanced? Are your needs getting met? Are any of your needs getting met? Because it's a little lopsided.
We have time for maybe 1-2 questions more. And I want to pick Patrick. Patrick says, Nicole and I dated a while back. Will we get back together this year? A love card.
Okay. You got 2. Sometimes that happens when I go to draw 1, that 2 come up. And so you got the Ace of Pentacles reversed, which says you're going to be empty-handed. And then this is her. So this is a very juvenile. It could represent that she's younger than you. This is seen as the virgin, juvenile, teenager, this card is representing her, and it's representing that she's not in the mindset of being capable and ready for a marriage and commitment and the maturity that this relationship is going to require. So I feel like this relationship is going to leave you empty-handed.
And we'll do one last one. But before we do, I wanted to thank everyone for coming in today and following us and listening to the reading at the beginning half, asking questions. Reminder, next week, so on December 21st, we have Psychic Reagan that will be doing one card pulls for anyone that comments in our Tarot Live post that we have on all of our social media channels. And then December 28th, we have Psychic Tegan for our live reading. And January 4th, we have Psychic Kerrigan. So we'll do one last question. And don't forget to use the promo code EastEnd5 to get $5 added to any new customer packages. So the lucky winner of our last card until next week is,
Okay.
let's see, Nicole says, I lost my job. Would love a career card, please and thank you.
Oh, Nicole, you need some boundaries. So the reason why this job and the loss of this job is better, this is teaching you boundaries. The loss of the job is really not a loss. I would say, well, congratulations. It's time for you to look for a new position, and a new position where you're going to be able to feel like you can have healthy boundaries and they will respect those boundaries, instead of this situation, which would have just been an ongoing nightmare. Do more. They just couldn't get more out of you and pay you less. So it's time to have better boundaries and look for that new job first week of February.
Nice. Sometimes it's a blessing in disguise.
Usually is.
Yeah. And thank you, Marin, for joining us today. I always love when we have you on the show. And when can people get a hold of you in the next couple of days if they want a reading?
I will be on in about an hour. So
Ooh.
I'm going to grab something to eat, and then I'll be on tonight. And I've got some appointment slots available, but I will have a lot of hours this week.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much, and we'll see you again next month.
Yeah, thank you. Happy holidays, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.